Shutter speed, also known as exposure time. It determines how much you freeze time the moment you press the shutter button. Let's assume the shutter curtain is like a door that opens to the sensor. Shutter speed determines how long that door stays open. If the shutter speed is 1/1000, the door stays open for 1,000th of a second, letting in less light. But because the movement is captured so quickly, you catch a much smaller fraction of time. In other words, you freeze the moment. When the shutter speed is 1/30, the door stays open for 1/30th of a second. So it stays open for a longer period. Of course, more light enters as a result. You end up capturing a larger portion of a second. Therefore, moving objects become blurred and motion is added to your photo. Shutter speed is not just about motion. It controls three different things. The first of these is light. The longer the sensor is exposed to light, that is, the longer the shutter stays open, the more light you collect. Therefore, keeping the shutter speed low in dark environments allows your photo to be brighter. The second is motion. A fast shutter speed freezes motion, while a slow shutter speed shows motion. For example, to make flowing water look silky, you use a slow shutter speed, but when shooting sports events, you use a fast shutter speed. The third is the feeling or mood. The shutter speed you set while shooting video determines the character of the image. Your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. What does this mean? Let's say you're shooting at 25 frames per second. If you set your shutter speed to double the frame rate, in other words, 1/50th, you'll achieve a cinematic feel. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, 1/60th will also give you a cinematic look. If you set the shutter speed too high, the video will look sharp and smooth. It will resemble real life more closely. Of course, this is a personal preference, and it can also vary depending on what you're shooting. So in summary, shutter speed is actually the camera's perception of time. The shorter you make the time, the more you freeze the moment. The longer you make it, the more you turn movement into a story. That's why photography is not just technical, it's a story told using time and light.